Hello and welcome. It is now officially May 12th, 2016, and Golden Era is here with your Golden Wrestling Convo. Today I will be discussing May 8th's event, Global Wars, with ROH and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Now, I was in attendance at the Frontier Fieldhouse. Felt great to be back. I've been a fan of ROH and have been to the Frontier Fieldhouse since 2006. My first show being Supercard of Honor. I love what ROH has done with the entrance. I love what they've done with the screen. I'm very proud to have been a fan beforehand and very proud to still be a fan now. So without further ado, let's talk about this show, shall we? Show kicked off with Dalton Castle and the boys versus Roderick Strong versus ACH versus Adam Page. I'm a huge fan of Dalton Castle. Huge fan of ACH. He came out dressed in a Luffy costume. I'm unsure if that was on the pay-per-view, but those of us that were there live, he had on a Luffy cosplay. Looked great. I marked pretty hard for that. Not that much of a fan of One Piece, but enough to know when I see somebody cosplaying Luffy, I thought it looked cool. Roderick Strong and Adam Page, I've been a big Roderick Strong fan for a long time. You know, I saw him go an hour with Bryan Danielson a number of times, aka Daniel Bryan. So he earned my respect back then. Adam Page was my first time seeing him. He does a pretty cool shooting star press from the apron, very reminiscent of Paul London. But he seems to hit his opponents with his heads instead of landing. Dalton Castle won this in, I think, probably around 10 minutes. I originally planned to keep track of all the matches, but as time went on, I just ended up enjoying the show. My guess is that the match didn't go more than 10 minutes. It didn't feel like it was more than 10 minutes. I wish it would have got more time. Since it didn't, however, I'm going to have to rate this about a 2.75. Pretty good match, just way too little on time. I wish they had more time. I forgot to mention before the show started, we had Kelly Klein versus Crazy Mary Dobson, and Kelly Klein got the win after 10 minutes. Pretty good match. I really enjoyed it. Kelly Klein made a fan of me, as did Crazy Mary Dobson. If I had to rate that one, I'd probably give it about a 2.5. Again, wish they had more time. If they could go for a solid 20, I wouldn't put it past them to put on a 4.5 or higher. Dalton Castle actually won the Four Corner Survivor, so he is now the number one contender. Forgot to mention that as well. This is just random ramblings from a fan of wrestling, so my apologies about that. But yes, I had the Four Corner match at about a 2.75 and the Women of Honor match at about a 2.5. Next, we had Jushin Liger and Cheeseburger versus The Addiction. Now, I doubt this match went more than 15. I think it may have actually gone less than 10. But regardless, it was a fantastic match. I marked out really hard when Jushin Liger came out. His entrance video looked amazing in person. It started off with his anime, and then Liger came out, and I marked out so hard. Definitely something I remember for the rest of my life. And a great match. Awesome to see Christopher Daniels. Been a fan of him for a long time. They hit the best Meltzer ever after the match. It looked beautiful. I actually shouted out best Meltzer ever, best moonsault ever. It didn't click that they would call it the best Meltzer ever, but it looked really cool. I'd have to rate this a 3 just because I marked out so fucking hard for Liger, and because Cheeseburger picked up the win via roll up or victory roll. However, I always thought the victory roll started in the shoulders, so I would call it a roll up. So yeah, Cheeseburger picked up the win via roll up on Christopher Daniels. I give it a 3 stars. Again, I was so happy to have seen Liger in person. It was something that I never knew I wanted to do, and I never knew I would get to do. Awesome. The Briscoes versus War Machine was next. I thought it was a great match. War Machine won, I would guess, around the 20-minute mark. I would give it about a 4. I would give it about a 4. Great match. Just, I don't know if it was placed in the card oddly, or if it just didn't capture my imagination as much as it should have. But something about it felt wrong. Like, perhaps if it was later on in the card, it would get a higher score. But the way the card was set up, I don't know. I feel like it only got about a 4. The crowd wasn't as into it as it should have been. And I feel like some of the spots were a little slow at times. I'm not the biggest fan of War Machine, so that may be the problem as well. But I'd rate it about a 4. After that, I believe we saw Kyle O'Reilly versus Tetsuya Naito. I'm not sure, but I think that was the next match. I think that match went for about 15 minutes. Um, Again, I wish they would have gotten about 5 or 10 more minutes. This is a match that, if they had gotten 5 or 10 more minutes, I feel like they could have put on a match of the year. As it stands, however, I feel like it was maybe a 3.5. Good match, but a lot of potential there, and I wish they would have got more time. Um, then I think we got Bobby Fish versus Tomohiro Ishii, which, in retrospect, looking back at it, may have been one of the match of the nights. But while we were there, the crowd was kind of dead. It was very strong style influenced, and I feel like a lot of the fans weren't into that. Personally, as I told my friend who was there, that's my jam because I love that kind of style. I love Ishii, and I love those kind of matches. The crowd did call Ishii, which I'm sure is part of the reason why the rumors are that Ishii doesn't enjoy coming to America. Probably because motherfuckers can't pronounce his name. But I thought it was a good match. I'd probably rate it 3.5. Again, if they had about 5 more minutes, like I really wish they had 5 more minutes. Especially if they could have had 10. I think it could have been a match of the year contender. Great match. One of those matches that gets better if you watch it back. I really wish we as a crowd were into it more. I tried. But I'm only one person. I thought the shots were stiff. I thought it looked like a real fight. I thought it was great. So unfortunately, the time they only went about 15 minutes. I wish they would have gone 20, maybe 25. I wish Ishii would have done more of his moves. I wish we could have gotten some more German suplexes. But yeah, 3.5 is about right. For a match that will probably get better on the second viewing and the third viewing. Probably the match of the night. As far as just in-ring work and things of that sort are concerned. Then we got Michael Elgin and Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika, Okada, and Moose. Personally, this is my favorite match of the night. I don't think they went that long. I doubt they went more than 10 minutes or 15 minutes. But personally, seeing Tanahashi and Okada in person blew my fucking mind. There was a moment where I swear Tanahashi looked right at me and did his 1 out of 100 hand pose, and like I marked like I've never marked before. I'm definitely going to remember that for the rest of my life. Tanahashi, seeing Tanahashi live is indescribable. He really looks like he's floating in air when he does his dives. He did a pescado or a slingshot body press, as some may call it, to the outside. And instead of just doing your regular vaulting body press, he did a high fly flow with it. He like frog splashed with it, and it looked beautiful. Like I still have the picture frame in my head, like of when he was in air. Just majestic as fuck. You know what I mean? He did this what's it called? Flip over senton, and like I swear he hung in the air for like 20 seconds, and I know he did it, but like something about the way he glides when he jumps in the air, it looks amazing. Also when he did his sling blade, I swear that the gods were holding him up, or maybe Okada was holding him up or something, because it didn't make sense how long he was in the air during the sling blade. It was a thing of beauty. Okada's dropkick, beautiful. At the beginning of the match, Okada and Moose did stereo dropkicks, and my mind couldn't even comprehend it. Great match. Personally, my match of the night, I would rate it a 4.25, but I'm a huge Okada and Tanahashi mark. It probably doesn't deserve that much of a rating. It probably deserves like if I could take off my being there live goggles and just think about the match, it's probably like a 3.75. But since I was there live and I'm such a huge fan of Tanahashi and Okada, I got to give it about a 4.25, 4.5. I thought it was amazing. My favorite match of the night. And then we had the 4-on-4 with Shelly, Sabin, Sadao, and Kushida versus the Bullet Club. Now, this is actually the match of the night. This is the match of the night that was, for us there, this was the match of the night. And if you saw it on pay-per-view, this was probably your match of the night. A lot of insane high spots. I think they went for about 15 to 20 minutes. And we saw... shit, I don't remember who the fuck won. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. I think the Bullet Club won. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the Bullet Club won. Great match. Great match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of high spots. I'm going to remember Kushida's swanton to the outside. All the super kick teases. They hit a Meltzer driver, which really made me mark out hard. That's how they won the match, actually. The Youngbloods hit a Meltzer driver, and that's how they won the match. I'm very happy to have gotten to see that live. This is probably the match that will universally get praised the most. I think it was about a 4.5, maybe a 4.25. Really good match, really entertaining. A lot of dangerous spots, a lot of cool spots. It just looked good. It was a great match. I believe I forgot to mention that in the match beforehand, Okada and Moose defeated Elgin and Tanahashi. I may have also forgotten to mention that Fish defeated Ishii and Naito defeated O'Reilly. Pretty cool that I got to see Fish win the TV championship. Like I said, I've been going to ROH since about 2006, but I'm not sure if I ever saw a title change. I may have not. You know, things like that, you know, I forget over time. I don't even really care about the win or losses. You know, personally, I just want to be entertained. I want to have a good match. I want to see a good match. I want to be able to be a part of a good match and be in the audience, you know what I mean? Obviously, I'm not having a match because I'm not the person wrestling, but I want to be a part of a good match. I want to be able to chant during a good match. I want to be entertained during a good match. I want to be able to say I've seen a 5-star match, and luckily I have. Actually, at Supercard of Honor 1, I saw a 5-star match. And that is something that has stayed with me. So I always judge matches on that. You know what I mean? Like, do they feel like that 5-star match felt? And next up was Jay Lethal versus Colt Cabana, and this is actually a good segue because I wanted to talk about this match. If I were to just rate it on entertainment value, and on storyline and on things going forward and things of that sort, then I would say that this is a 5-star match. Adam Cole joining the Bullet Club and all the hell that came with it and all the super kits and things like that was amazing. You know, it brought me back to that feeling when Do Fixer faced Blood Generation. But is it really a 5-star match? Does it compare to Do Fixer versus Blood Generation? Really? Like, it's a tough discussion to have, and I only have like 2 to 3 minutes, but I'm going to try to have the discussion with y'all about this because it's a tough one. Because from strictly an entertainment standpoint, then yes, I would argue that Colt Cabana versus Jay Lethal and the schmoz that happened afterwards are just as entertaining as Blood Generation versus Do Fixer. But at the same time, do they provide the same moments of awe? Do they provide the same crowd? Like, the crowd for Blood Generation versus Do Fixer, in my opinion, was much crazier. And that was a 5-star match. And I feel like this match wasn't as crazy. The crowd wasn't as rabid. But at the same time, the storyline has progressed. And it brings a lot of attention to ROH. Like, this is a discussion about ROH that we probably wouldn't be having in the media like we're having now. You know what I mean? Everybody's discussing ROH. For this last week, everybody's been discussing ROH. So it feels like it was a classic moment. And perhaps a classic match because of that. But it's in a different way. It's not in the same way that Blood Generation versus Do Fixer was, because that was a classic match in the evolving of the sport. Whereas this feels like a classic match in the evolving of the entertainment. Now, that isn't to say either one of them is better than the other. Personally, I would take Blood Generation versus Do Fixer. But if you were to take the charisma of Adam Cole and all those amazing super kicks, then more power to you. Because the charisma was through the roof. The storytelling was through the roof. And we were hot. The crowd was hot. You could feel the electricity. And even if you take into account the card, like, the card was all about Japanese talent. And in a way, the Bullet Club is a talent that is coming over from Japan, because the Bullet Club is a faction that is mostly just in Japan. And with this being the Bullet Club's debut of a new member in American soil, then it becomes the Bullet Club being brought over from Japan to the States, which is a big thing. So I can see how this could be a 5-star match if you're into the factions and the entertainment and things like that. More power to you. I was definitely entertained. Good match. Hope y'all enjoyed this. Peace.